right, sweet. So officially, welcome everyone. Sorry for the delay. Some technical difficulties, which is all good. I want to thank you guys for logging on, especially with the last minute adjustment to 10 o'clock. The session is definitely going to be recorded. So this is the 8th installment of our development series, and I'm very, very pleased to announce and have the opportunity to work a little bit closely with Ramsey Tomokino from Auckland, New Zealand. I'm about to go over his resume, which may take about an hour. No, actually, I'll give a bit of a story before. So when I was living in Auckland for a bit of time, I happened to be refereeing a game, playoff game, and after the match, I had a good chat with the head coach, who happens to be Ramsey. He probably, I don't know if he grilled me, asked me some questions about the game. I don't know how I did. It was definitely a bit of a nerve-wracking experience. I got the film. I'm probably sure everyone's seen it on my Facebook post a while back, but it was definitely that game. And Ramsey graciously gave me some advice and then offered me a opportunity to volunteer with him in the Auckland Storm on the coaching staff. So that was a remarkable experience. And then from that, I kind of learned his resume and all of the things he did in New Zealand, and was pretty astonished that I got an opportunity to work closely with him. But please, Ramsey, let me know if I'm off on any of these things. So you're the head coach of Manusina Samoa, women's national team, right?
Yep, correct.
Excellent. And then former head coach of the Samoa under-20s,
Yep.
head coach of Manusina Sevens, director of rugby for Suburbs, and head coach of Auckland. Were you head coach of Auckland Storm?
I was assistant coach, but probably doing most of the coaching.
Look, I didn't want to say that, but shout out to Kellum. But Ramsey was leading the show, and we won a national championship that year. So head coach, assistant coach of Auckland Storm, also the head coach of the Thai Rugby National Sevens, as well as the Cook Island National Sevens. He's manager, one of the managers for Moana Pacifica.
Yep.
Excellent. Everyone's seen that game against New Zealand Maori this year, which was probably the best game to watch all year, as well as manager of Manu Samoa and manager of the Manu Samoa Sevens. Correct?
Yep, correct.
Jeez.
And Auckland Sevens and other bits and pieces.
But yeah, it just goes down the line on that one. But as far as from the perspective of us Americans, like it's really tough to compete with guys like you. I tell you right now, your resume is so heavy that, I mean, we try to get one crack and, we going against guys like you and all of that, but I'm glad to have you on our team so we can learn the most from what we can. So just shout out, really thank you. Appreciate your opportunity coming on and lend us some expertise on our areas. But anything that I'll leave out, Ramsey? You want to say hello?
Yeah. Oh, well, hello everyone. Thanks, Mikey. So it was actually an honor to be asked, and so I thought, yeah, cool. Well, I was Marquise I wasn't actually grilling him. I think I was commending him on a ballsy decision. So it was our Prem development team that was a semi-final, I think, against the College Rifles team, and our team ended up winning. They were the underdog, and Marquise made a call, and it was quite a ballsy one. And and it might have been some other things in the game as well, but I was really impressed with Marquise. And then we started chatting, and then saw that he was passionate about rugby, and then had an opportunity to bring him on in the Storm until he did a runner. And I don't know if his visa expired or he's an overstayer, but he did a runner and took off back to the States and never saw him again, and until now. I can see him now. So but yeah, no, I've been coaching for a while, and and it's hard as a coach where what you probably find now, you get a lot of players that come out, finish playing, and then you're kind of struggling against people that have been former All Blacks or former whatever, and that just come out of playing and straight into coaching. So it's quite competitive in the coaching space, but still try my best. And next current assignment is trying to get Manusina through to the Rugby World Cup, if that happens. So got a final repechage tournament. So, but COVID obviously is playing its part to be difficult. So yeah, which is something we've got to live with. And I guess we're quite blessed and lucky this part of the world compared to what I've been reading and following what's going over in the States. So hope everyone over there or whoever else is watching is staying safe, and hopefully sooner or later we'll be rid of this thing. So yeah, so that's me.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the goal is definitely to get back to New Zealand. Everyone on this call that knows me probably hear that 3 times a day from me about how I want to get my referees to New Zealand, just to share that experience that I had. So without further ado, we're going to step right into it, if you guys do not mind. So I'm going to share my screen real quick. There it is. Perfect. And then Ramsey, if you can, I just want you to briefly kind of go over what this is, which is today we're talking about set piece attack and the patterns of play that teams take in order to advance the ball at the field as well as score some tries. So there's Ramsey, you're the expert. So can you take us through to some attack zones or the purpose of attack from your lens?
I didn't realize you got to use that.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Okay, so where do I start? Hang on, I might okay, hang on, I just need it now. Okay, so right there, where do I start? Okay, yeah, so attack, like everything that we're looking for in attack is if we're looking at set piece, if you have a look at that diagram there, it's we're looking at what you guys might have heard, if there's any coaches in there, or if you haven't heard of any of these terms as referees, then certainly feel free to ask questions, etc. So we're looking at what we call TQB, which is top quality ball of set piece. So that's like making sure that it's quality ball that we can work with off line out of scrum, and then the next thing we want to do is win the race to the gain line, keep the ball alive, and then with that you get lightning quick ball, and then we get top quality phase ball, and then it just goes around in a circle like that. So is that have most people come across that before, or so that's what we're looking at. And so yep, sorry Marquise.
No. I think if you haven't, I think that's the goals of attack, is to keep that continuity going. Yep. In that play going. Correct? Is that about right?
Yep, correct. So if we if you have a look at attack zone, so just there are attack zones for me. Those are they can vary per team, they can vary per game, and they can vary based on conditions. So as an example, look, if I've looked at this one here, a red zone is obviously defensive zone. So some teams might have 3 zones, some teams might have four zones. So obviously your red zone is where you're going to be exiting, and where you're going to be, if you've got offset piece, you want to exit well. And then what we call the amber or orange zone is usually your go forward options. So you might have a policy in that zone. So red zone, you might have a policy where you got zero ruck or 1 ruck to exit. Okay, in the amber zone or orange zone, there you might go. You might say, okay, look, we're gonna run, 3 or 4 phases, and if we haven't gone forward, then we're gonna put a kick in. Okay, and then we've got obviously a green zone, and that. In this particular one, like everything in that zone is we're attack, and our focus is obviously attack to try and score, or come away with points. So whether that's 5 points, 3 points, it's just all out attack, and that's where your stroke plays. You want to try and.
Hey, Rams, so just got a question for you.
Yep.
So when we're in these attack zones, Marquise, can you just go back to the first one? Now you said that the teams may have a policy of 1 ruck or 4 or 5 rucks. Is that off of set piece and turnovers, or is that just anytime they ball? Or where does that number start from?
Okay, so if I have a look at the red zone 22, right? So if we're running a line out or a scrum from set piece on my ball or our ball, we might go 5 meter to goal line. That's just zero ruck, and we just put it straight out. Anything from outside the 5 meter line to the 22 line, we might go, okay, we might set up one phase or two phases and then kick. But you can apply that. So if it was turnover ball, again, you just have a policy and where you are on the field. Like if you turned it over there, you'd probably, depending on where your kick is positioned, etc. If the kick is not in position, for example, on a turnover ball, your kicker might have possibly become the halfback. And then he might have to set up a play and then get in position to kick. So, so in turnover, you'd probably apply the same principles in a turnover as you would in set piece. So in the orange zone, we would, like I said, we'd go 3 or 4 phases, and if we didn't go forward, then we would actually just put a kick in. One of the things as a coach, if you would say to your players, okay, we all want to get to the attack zone because that's where, obviously that's how you win games, is by scoring points. So, what the quickest way to get to the attack zone is by kicking. Kicking's just become huge part of the game. And, if you've got good positional and kickers, etc., then, you do really well. And probably, I did have some stuff, but I was actually going to ask, does anyone know which international team in the world kicks the most?
Well, light up the chat room. Or you can just come on, take a guess.
England.
Okay, why do you say England?
Because I think Eddie Jones a while ago said something in a press conference that they were going to stop kicking. Not stop kicking, but kick less.
Yeah.
So if it became a problem, I'm assuming that it was them.
Okay. Yeah. So probably this might surprise many of you, that the team that actually kicks the most is actually the All Blacks, but you don't remember that because you see that they score mostly tries. But interesting. Yeah. Someone picked New Zealand. A couple picked New Zealand, but yeah. So they kick a lot. But they kick with purpose, but you don't remember that because all you remember is that they score lots of tries as well. So whereas England probably were kicking, but kicking aimlessly, and playing a bit of a 10-man boring rugby, etc. in the past. So yeah.
Excellent. Ramsey, could you go over the difference between zone 1, zone 2, and why the red extended out to the 10 meter, or zone 3 where red extends out to the attacking 10?
Yeah. Okay. So if I was so the difference between those so your zones can change based on conditions or based on your opposition. So for example, if I was playing this question, there's a policy on how many unproductive phases in the yellow zone that prompt a kick. So mainly most teams will probably go 3 to 4 phases before they kick, or if they haven't gone forward is the main thing. So if you go, I think there's a good clip where a team goes, they just go sideways in one of the clips, and they actually haven't gone forward, and then they opt to kick. Okay, so if it was a really shitty day, it was raining, we might say we might have had a game plan in mind, but we might say, okay, guys, we're playing. We're going to play zone 3 as an example. We might call it zone 3, which means that our red zone now is anything that's in that, from goal line to the opposition 10 meter line, is we're just putting it in their half. We're just kicking it. You might do that against also a team that's very good defensively, but we might have broken that up into 1 or 2 phases further out. Like have a crack at 1 or 2, if not then kick. So conditions dictate that, and teams dictate that who we might be playing. So I'm just trying to think of a team as an example where, but mostly conditions might dictate that. But again, opposition dictates that also. So if we were confident to run the ball, I could attend my exact attack zone from in that one there and attack zone 2, Marquise, like, I could possibly go, I might extend the green one further back or even to the 22, because we might be confident that, we can attack from anywhere on this against this team. So
sweet. So that was all to give context for the clips that we're going to see. And without further ado, thank you, Ramsey, for that. Let me post these up here. Sorry. There we go. Jacob, can you see that?
Yeah, we got it.
All right, sweet. Take a look at it and we'll discuss.
Taking the time, slow ball. They're in no hurry. Gordon in his own try zone. Angles it, finds touch.
Sweet. Austin with the cameo. So, Ramsey, with that clip, would this be a red zone policy where they set off a set piece, one phase, get some slow ball, make sure everything is nice, conditions for the kick, and then exit out? Would that be about
absolutely.
Right?
Yep. So it was, set piece exit, use of the short line out, so which is unusual in that zone. Obviously they're confident in their line out that they're able to do it. They freed up a forward for their carry. They got numbers, and obviously having forwards out there, got numbers of the ball. So most teams in the red zone will probably send more numbers to the ruck than they might in other zones, just to make sure that they don't lose it and negate any counter ruck. And then obviously, so in there, that was an example of his top quality ball, and then lightning quick ball from the line out to the halfback, and then over the advantage line, and then a good kick that found touch. So so it was a good example of one phase. Well, in fact, that was what we would call that a zero exit, almost, because it almost went from line out to a carry, and then one ruck and then out. So which is
so good. when you say it's unusual for a 5-man line out in this context, would that be like a nice indicator that this team is super confident, like you being able to have a 5-man line out, so you're winning ball all day, so in the mindset that we kind of know that this team tails are up, and San Diego is pretty notorious for the outside backs, so we can, I guess, as referees, kind of know that, look, they definitely might be willing to even run this out in the 22.
Yeah. So because obviously the other option too is if you if you actually had a Perry Baker or a Carl Niles out on the wing, you actually might, if there was a call, if you have a look in that wide shot there, wingers are quite back, if you a couple of passes and you give it to a speedster with a bit of pace, you could attack from there because people don't expect it. So you're expecting the exit, but that was good. Obviously they're confident in their lineout. So a lot of teams might, like for example, again, depending who you're playing, they might say within the 22s it's 4 lineouts, outside the 22s it's short lineouts. But
Excellent.
They're obviously pretty confident.
Next clip. If you have any questions, make sure you put those in the chat. Jacob's going to monitor those. Let me know if anything important comes up.
Top. And now they go for their forward pack. Poland. Again, keeps his team downfield. Marcel. Tony Vassal drops it. It's play on. Carry again here from Kindragan. He's been the thick of things here in the second 40. Sparking his side to life. Hemopo. Still advantage again. Errors now coming from San Diego. Wilson gets the ball away to Collins superbly into the 22. Legion dragging towards the touchline, still in field with Lawson.
All right, we'll end it there. So with this clip, Ramsey, my question is, would this be an example of best case scenario from inside your 22 as far as execution? Especially, could you explain the purpose of the box kick, the roles and responsibilities, and also kind of identifying these backs here from a referee's side, looking at them in a positioning, would that indicate to us that a kick is coming or passing out, et cetera?
Yeah, so if you have a look at that setup there, you can actually so what they've done well here is that they've got a set piece line out, full line out. The line out comes down, and they look like they're going to maul it. They look like they're going to drive, and teams do that obviously to tie in all the forwards there. Halfback box kicks, and you can see as the clip goes on, the winger knows exactly what's going to happen. He's there ready for it. So he does a very good box kick, very high, and good chase, and just unfortunate the player didn't catch it, and gifted that the kick was not taken by the defense. So it was a good kick. The height was there, pressure from the wing, and obviously they got a turnover and played. So yeah, obviously that they might have a policy in their zone there that's what they're going to do in that particular area. So like I said, some teams might have like I run 3 or 2, but some teams might run 4, and that still might have been part of their red zone where they wanted to kick it, and it was just good.
So when you say 3 or 2, what do you mean by that?
Oh, so for example, if in the zone, so some teams might have the green zone as they might have green, then orange, and then they might have another color zone that they it's just however they want to present it. So yeah, so they might have a zone. So from the red zone, that might have been a pink zone, for example, and in our pink zone we're still gonna kick it, or etc.
And yeah, for the phase pay after this, because this is pretty much open play at this point, correct? Or would it be like a policy that teams will have, like if we return off of a box kick, I want the forwards here, we're going to try to, bang it up the field once and then take it wide, et cetera. Would that be a set play, set calls, or is it just kind of open play?
They look like they've got their runners set there. So if we have a look, yep. So you've got a carry. They're probably looking at that. They've got 3 forwards that obviously, or is it 2 forwards and a back? So they're playing, and like all good teams, like we like to do, there's always play to the edges, and yeah, that's exactly what you want. And then you'd set up, and then you'd get your formation or attack shape realigned again. So it looks like they're going through a 1-3-3-1 again. So they've got their pot of 3. Just to carry, get out of the advantage line, and then they're obviously setting up to come around the corner again. So
excellent.
Hey, Ramsey, I got a question with this clip, actually. Marcus, would you mind just bringing it up to the right there? So they got a short line out here, and I was just curious, given their position on the field, what are the benefits of going with that short line out and knowing that they're going to kick versus having a full line out?
So, a lot of times when I coach, I would have, we play short lineouts between the 22s, so 5-mans, etc. So the benefit there is, actually, that's a good point. So, obviously, because for you're looking at your go forward option. So if we were to win that, and see, personally as a coach, I probably wouldn't have gone for a kick straight away. I would have tried to see what we could do, but I mean, obviously that might be the policy in that particular zone. So to have a short line and have a runner out, they might have been looking to set a target in the midfield, or it could just be simply a decoy as well, that they drop a forward out because it doesn't look like that backline is going to get the ball at all. So they've obviously predetermined what they're going to do here with the line out and the kick. So yeah, I mean, and sometimes it is just to decoy, to make the opposition look like the defense team make them think that you are possibly going to set up out wide. So yeah, it's just a lot of coaches, when we go do this, it's, we're trying to coach deception, and getting opposition thinking that we're going to do different things.
Excellent. Good question, Jacob.
I just one of the things I will add that with kicking, so as coaches, we normally will kick to obviously regain possession, and as exactly what happened in that clip, as territory or land, is your secondary option, and then out if in red zone as per clip 1. So the first clip that we saw, you just make sure kicks have to go out.
Dylan Fawcett from New York today. Really, if they can just remain squeaky clean, it helps they have the ball. We're only a minute left. Put the jinx on them. Left for the sin binner to return. So they need to hold on. Ferris. Maudsley. Dummy, fools no one, and Bastereau comes in to add his way. Tries to rip the ball out of Dylan Audsley's hands. That is no mean feat. Hold on to that. High ball, Burton regains. No one in Asengenge. He's got some pace as well. Looks for support. He finds an Inferno. He doesn't need to throw a pass.
All right. So from this clip here, Ramsey, I guess my question would be policy for turnover lineout. Is that a set thing, or is it just a 2-pass policy like it used to be 10 years ago? Or how are teams, I will say, how are teams structured at this point of attack right here?
Okay, so one of the things, is everyone sort of familiar with what the principles of play in terms of attack and defense?
Was that part of the package you sent me?
Yeah. So if we go to if you can go to the principles of play slide, or I'm happy to share my screen.
Oh yeah, yep. Let me
Oh, sorry. If you've got it there, have you got it there? Have you got it up?
No, not yet. No. Let me make you co-host.
Actually, you can bring that up, and I'll just talk to it. So, okay. Principles of play. So, in that particular clip, that was clip number 3, right? Okay. So it was a defensive lineout 1, and they turned it into attack. So, a good example of the transition of principles of play of rugby from defense to attack. Defense was contested position. So they contested position by applying pressure. So all they did was just put a jumper up in the lineout. Position was regained, and so they transitioned that to attack. They got go forward. They went sideways in their policy. If you go down, Mikey's. Go down.
Keep going.
Yeah, there it is, just above dynamic attack. Up.
Here we go.
Yep. Okay. So there you go. So you've got the principles of play, which are basically on attack, gain possession, go forward, provide support, maintain continuity, apply pressure, score, and same as defense. Contest possession, go forward, provide support, apply pressure, regain possession. So typically in when you go through this and as a coach and you review this, if you can tick all of those options on attack and most of those options on defense, you probably won the game. But you can easily also use that to to work out why you didn't win the game. Okay, because we gained possession, but did we go forward? No, we didn't. Or did we provide support? We didn't maintain continuity, etc. So in that particular clip, on clip 3, so the defense, like I said, they contested possession by applying pressure. They put someone up in the air. A position was regained. They transitioned to attack. Go forward. They went sideways. Okay, so they weren't going forward. So their policy after 2 phases in that zone might have been to kick to get the go forward. So if you go through that, they'll kick it. They regathered the kick. There was support play, there was continuity, and then they scored. And so it was so they obviously had a they obviously looked at if they're a pretty good attacking team, we're probably looking at trying, okay, how can we play? So they carried, and I think they had one more after this, don't they? Or do they kick from there? And they've gone sideways or not forward. So if they'd gone forward, they probably would have kept on playing. But obviously they've looked for a kick option. And again, it's just, good kick, good height, and regathered the kick. And as we say in rugby, a kick's only as good as its chase. So,
yeah. And with this, I know you mentioned it last night. I'm going to bring this up. I think this is important to note, especially for referees. And it may seem a bit abstract at first, but I'll kind of indicate to you why this is fairly important. So off of turnover policy, just like Ramsey said, this team, San Diego, is going to be under the pump, going backwards 2 phases. And if we automatically know that, hey, this team is at the last 3 phases of going back, and here comes a kick. If we know that the kick is coming, then in our minds, in our heads, we can go ahead and go through our kick checklist. Sorry. Which is what? Scan for the kicker, make sure he's not hurt, make sure people are not offsides, et cetera, et cetera. And if they are, call them back. In this clip, we can clearly kind of see everybody's pretty much offsides at this point. No one brings them onside. Everyone's running forward, which is a bit of an issue, and they score off of it. So without that in mind, if we just refereeing the ruck or the breakdowns, and then all of a sudden a kick comes, then we have to like instantly switch our brains over to what's our checklist on kicks, and it may be too late for et cetera. So
I was actually surprised at that, because you can see the guys clearly in front, and that to me typically would have been an AR call, but you could also see that they obviously knew they were going to kick, because everyone had set, they had a line in front.
Sweet. Number 4.
Buster off the back again. Finds Walsh to Hamasos. Quick ball. Marsh. Now it's with Leonard. Haven't seen too much of Will Leonard today. Back to Marsh. Attacks the line. Crunching tackle from Audley. Still playing advantage now. Fawcett. Pursued by Wu-Ting.
Excellent. So with this clip, Ramsey, what I want to point out, and we still in that orange kind of section here, is the benefits of the pick and go to the right-hand side. How often is this play called? Also, what kind of indicators can a referee take to know that it's going to go to the right-hand side, so that we can better position ourselves. And then also, once this line break, sorry if I'm rambling on, but once this line break happens here down the field, and you have an advantage, how do you want to play, or what should teams be doing in that area of the field?
Yeah, okay, so they strike play from an attack zone. So look, hang on, what clip is this number? What clip are we up to? 4? 4. Yeah, 4. Okay, so defensive scrum. Okay, so so as you said, Marquise, they were looking to go right. Okay, so to me it looked like number 8 was going to go right. It was probably looking for fullback wing, or possibly playing that halfback. So it might have been planned that the halfback goes inside, and they might have analysed the opposition to see how they defend that scrum and identify that there was a hole there. And I mean, if you have a look at that there, so they haven't defended that very well. So, and that might have been something that they might have picked up on their analysis, that the 8 doesn't break off. And then I mean, it could have been planned, or it just could have been good luck. But the other outsides didn't look like they were going to get the ball. But they played what was in front of them then, and then so they come here and then they use the use of decoy or flush runners. So they carry there, and I think the decoy or flush, what we call flush runners, are coming up. A lot of teams use this as well. So we go here. Yep. So they just went straight back door there, a 3 formation. whether or not that was the right call or not. But the defense did very well there to come up and shut that down. So one of the things that a lot of teams play, there's different shape formations that teams play, and they typically these days there's 1-3-3-1, which a lot of teams are using, and which is probably the most easiest to defend. And then you've got 2-4-2 or 2-2-3-1 and 2-2-2-2. And which is the shapes that, and most teams are playing 1-3-3-1. So, and then in this one, they've gone a straight back door call here.
So the when you say 1-3-3-1, these
so
three
that's
kind of highlighted
three.
Are the three. And then there'll be another 3 forwards out here, and it'll be
So he's obviously given a back door call. Obviously, they might have a policy because that was they've gone wide and breached them, but the teams that the red teams set up defensively quite well. So they've done the right thing. The red team, they've gone up, they've taken care of the 3, and then they push through to the back door because once they realize the ball's gone, and they pretty much shut him down. So he had no other options. So he might have actually been going wide, but as you can see, the defense looks like it's outnumbering the attack at this stage.
Yeah.
So,
and at this moment of the advantage, what I see with most professional international teams is this would probably be like a nice little kick to the corner, kick chase or something like that. At the level at the MLR, I don't see it as much. They continuously play. So what will be the policy for you? You just make gains meters. You got the advantage, so you're gonna have
just keep
3 points. What would you do?
But personally, me as a coach, I'd just say keep playing. But I don't think he played advantage long enough in this clip. I think this is the one where I thought, well, I mean, they went backwards. There was no. Probably if they got some go forward momentum there, then possibly he would have kept playing. But actually, probably made the right call there. Actually, now that I see that again, and the team had gone backwards, but I'll just keep playing. It depends on what stage he got to score there at that point. 10-7. Yeah, I would have kept playing, but if it was sort of late in the game, you'd be going. You might just drop the ball and say, "We'll take the penalty, thanks," or have a stab at a drop goal. And then if you miss the drop goal, then go for the penalty kick on the advantage. But yeah.
Got you. And would you prefer the referee to communicate that advantage a little bit differently, or just like the simple advantage, or like, hey, you guys have an advantage, play it? Or
I mean, most referees just play advantage, and then one thing's in New Zealand here, they probably play advantage too long. So sometimes you'd be thinking, come on, just let's go back for the penalty. But again, it depends on who you're playing, and if points aren't easy to come by, then you'd be wanting a penalty. Like if they're a team that's difficult to score against, then but obviously, for referees, be very clear that advantage, you still have advantage, because sometimes, how often do you see teams playing and then the referee goes advantage over, and as soon as the advantage is over, then the mistakes happen or the turnovers happen. So it usually happens. But again, this is an example of going forward, support, continuity, pressure, and that pressure and this resulted in holding the ball and resulted in them having a kickable penalty. So it's a good outcome.
Last question about this, as far as advantage is concerned. Does play change your attack patterns, or play change once you have this advantage here?
Does play change?
Yeah. So whatever set calls you guys had at this point, and then you just realize that there was an advantage, would that change, and who's making that call?
Yeah, it depends on your game drivers on the field as to what they decide to do. So if you got a, I'd personally as a coach, they make the decisions on the field, and if they choose to play. So we might have spoken about that as a team in terms of, if we get an advantage, what we're going to do in certain parts of the field. And again, it really depends on who you're playing and how hard it is to come by points, because, sometimes you don't even get that luxury of getting to that zone. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
All
So
right,
I hope that kind of answers it. Yeah. So you just game drivers 9, 10, they might decide, or they keep playing it out. But again, like if they had probably gone forward, referee probably would have said keep, play on, and then to a point where if they're making some good gains, and once they've got, what do the referees say with advantage? It's either if you've gained some meterage or time, I think it is. I can't remember what they use here in New Zealand, but yeah, there's a couple of ways how they applied advantage. Like did you gain some meters out of it? Were you in a better position, or or it's time as well.
All right, next clip.
Short up penalty. They'll look to go quickly, and they do. Nasingengi to Ferris. Flat ball to Audsley. Well taken by Matina. Denying them some time and space. As Diva comes around the corner. First receiver is Mathias. Sharks offline. 2-1 now. And he gives the final pass for the first try of the match to Tira Patterson.
All right, so this clip right here was interesting to me because I definitely felt that after this free kick that San Diego was super structured in attack, where most teams, I think, will just take the free kick and just run it up and then kind of organize themselves afterwards. But he decided to pass it out immediately. So if you can explain that a bit, that'd be great.
Yeah, so when I looked at this clip, the number 8 was obviously the halfback. It was interesting. The halfback had the ball, and he gave it to number 8. And then, typically, most times, number 8s would just tap and go. But this number 8 was actually quite disciplined. Obviously, they had a strike move ready to go. So, and they just carried on with their play. So they basically strike or starter play, and they looked like they carried through what they'd already had set up with it. Midfield set up, worked around the corner, and then eventually worked the same way. You see the defense doesn't work as hard. And then obviously there's a line break through a missed tackle, and they scored the try. So and they made the line break count by scoring the try. So the policy of this team might have been to play the move out on any free kick. Sometimes teams have a policy of just get the ball to the halfback, and then he makes a call between 9 and 10. But it was interesting that the number 8 just didn't have presence of mind just to tap and go forward. So like I said, could be their policy, but I thought it was quite well disciplined. It was a good try in each carry, and this was positive. So in most of the clips, everyone's working, attacking the same way, and obviously we do. The reason why we promote attacking the same way is because we want to try and attack where the space is. So yeah, just simple one-on-one miss there, and then once that's happened, good night nurse. So and they made that count. So
yeah,
are they one of the top teams, San Diego?
Absolutely, yeah. And I'm definitely sure this number 9. That's Adrian Ferris's son, Devereaux.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. So just kudos out to him. And then at number 8's Kenny Nasaseke from Long Beach, my hometown, Belmont Shore boy. So, we like to get everyone in. Any questions from the chat, Jacob?
We're good.
We'll have this at the back. Morrison holds for it. Flat. Lutz. Wales. John Lutz. Break by. Another MLR acquisition for the Sabercats as they take him away from Austin. Spills at the back. Windsor. There's an opportunity here. They have some numbers. Freya. Boots on the outside. Quinlan. Back inside. Loose hands. Windsor. There's the opening try of 2020. It's Sam Windsor.
So from this clip, we have a attacking scrum within the attacking half, I believe. So this will still be orange zone. And I just wanted to reiterate options that the teams take in this area of the field. So kind of explain that, why they choose to hit up straight the same way and then bring it back.
Yeah, so from here they've obviously got a move where they so it looked like that they were going to play some options off that, and so obviously one of the options is the carry, and he's done that, and he's got over the gain line. Forwards start to move into a pod of 3, and the carrying are going the same way. They continue the same way from ruck. I suspect here on this one that runner was meant to be a decoy, but he got it. But as coaches, we actually don't call them decoy, call them option runners. So where they should still expect to get the ball, and be prepared to get it. So as a result of the stuff up at their ruck, unless they had a switch call or a mayday call. So when I say mayday call, that's like someone he's screamed out and said, "Hey, we've got numbers or space," and you can see that clearly. So he could have hit that pod there. You could see that there was a pod already set up there, 3 forwards, but he throws the Hail Mary over the top. Is this the one over the top? Oh, there's another one over. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's the one.
Gets it to the outside, and they got space. So they just got the balls to numbers and space, and then support, continuity, and they score off this thing there. Yep. So yeah, it was simple, but it was as a result of, and quite often you'll see in rugby that as a result of a lot of stuff ups, and I think there's another clip as well. Teams can still score tries off it. So
hey Marquise, can you go back to where the ball is at the back of the ruck? Or sorry, the back of the scrum, please. When it opens up and you can see the backs. There we go. Do we know? I don't know. Do we know if that's the 10 that takes that ball up? Because, he attacks the line with no intention to pass. He's attacking that ball. I was wondering. Yeah, see, that's not the 10. So, if we can see that ahead of time of where the backs are set up, that could be an indicator of where that ball may be going. Because like I said, that 12, when he gets the ball, there's really no intention to pass that ball.
Yeah, their setup actually looks like they're possibly 1 or 2 options. So I think you probably would have, but yeah, he's probably one of those backs that just likes to run with the ball. So and he didn't, because you can see the wingers coming back door as well. So it looks like it's one of those players he's got 2 or 3 options, but as soon as he tucks the ball, and he hasn't really looked on the outside. So yeah, that's a key indicator that he's not going to pass the ball. So. But yeah, certainly, that's something to be aware of. But so most times even when teams run their attack shape off phase play, there's usually 2 or 3 different options that they run off that.
The most important thing from this, and Jacob, I'm glad you brought it up, especially with these runners who's taking the game in their own hands. And kind of not going with the play, are usually going to be isolated somewhat, or someone else is going to overrun their line. Right here, it looks like that 10 or the 13 kind of overran his line. He has to come back. But by the time he gets to the ruck, he's definitely coming in from a side position. It's pretty evident right there. So for me, from a referee, once I definitely see that man is tucking the ball, doing some isolation things, it may be a turnover because he's by himself, or B, his support runners overrun their lines, and so we got to check for side entries. So those 2 things are important, and that's the reason why we need to know this kind of stuff ahead of the time. Anything from the chat? No? All right, sweet. I don't know what that is.
Is it good or bad?
I know. It's like Marquise, shut up. All right. Almost through. So number 7.
Halfway Houston will be trying a different sort of strategy off the kickoff.
Houston now go to midfield, looking to bash it up here with Boyson. The Bet Ruiz finds his loose forward Luke Beecham. The youngest of four in his family, Beecham to the right-hand side, Windsor, flat ball. Save the Cats. Lost 2 meters or so from that lineup, but still they maintain the field, and Windsor goes in. He's bumped there, his play on, and what a pick up to Bet Ruiz! Oh, that's absolutely sublime!
Sweet. I really like this clip because there was a couple of things to see and to note from me in the questions I have. This is middle of the field again, 5-man line out. So that kind of goes on par with what Ramsey was saying as far as shortened lineouts in between the 22s. So what indication that is as far as what play is going to happen. Is it going to go wide, whatever the case may be, or one runner up? Usually when it's a 5-man, there's some type of hit up the field. And secondly, the Toronto defense is pretty good. Hits them back twice. So knowing that there's going to be a kick, it kind of plays into the same thing as far as the clip was concerned. The clip discussed before. So the question is to Ramsey. Is this on par with what options you would take as a coach if you were Yellow or Houston here? As far as, we going backwards off of the line out, plays not happening, the defense is pretty good. And is that kick an isolation kick, or is that something that the team would plan?
Yeah, so like you said, they short line out, wasn't top quality ball. They have decoy runners out there as well, but they obviously ran the first 2 forwards, and then they hit the 3rd forward on the outside. And then they're going, they've got a few phases here. They're going side to side, but blue teams is defending pretty good. And so they're driving them back. And so they went, 3 phases and then a kick. So if we go back to the kick, yeah. So they go wide. They haven't gone forward, so they obviously decided, yep, okay, we've just gone sideways. And in fact, they haven't even, got past where their initial lineout was. Then they put their kick in. So can you just go back, Mikey? So I just want to see. So if you have a look at, go back just a bit more. Let's play from there. So halfback's in good position there defensively. Okay, so and then I'm just curious to see what he does if they do show it, what he does afterwards. So he goes across. Is this where they kick? So obviously they kick. So obviously there was either really good vision from, but he didn't regather it. It was the person on the inside that regathered that. So halfback didn't. He probably should never have scored that really. And it's just this thing with rugby. It's a bounce of the ball, and again, your kick's only as good as its chase. And put a grubber kick in, and chase was good.
Sweet. All right. We're not going to go through them all. We'll just have one more.
Actually, Makisa can actually stay a little bit longer if you need me to, mate. There's no problem.
Okay. All right. I thought you had to drop off the kids. So
no. Just my son's saying he's got a Zoom class on today, so so I'm all good for about
Ramsey,
another 20 or so minutes.
Excellent. And then we'll leave some
on that kick right there. Would you prefer?
Go ahead.
Ramsey, on that kick, would you prefer something different, like a up and under or a kick to the corner, rather than that grub through, which seemed pretty speculative?
Yeah, I would have. Yeah, we would have said, like kick for space, and but again, you get probably for me the grub is the most kick that is but the defense was rushing, so it was possibly a good option. But yeah, I would have kicked for space and territory, but sometimes the most unlikely can happen, and exactly what happened in that clip.
Excellent. Next one. So right here we're moving closer to the green zone. With each clip we're gonna go closer and closer to the green zone, just to keep it in sequence. So take a look.
Each of your jobs, focus on those jobs.
Thank you, Stacey, as we get back to it here. See with a tackle for Seattle, number 10, their fly half. Augsburger's got it now. Nifty back pass there with one hand to Duplessis. He was taken down by Matt Turner. Stanfield gets it out. Ryan, short touch there. Didn't result in much, but it's taken out by Augsburger. Into the hands there of Nathan Sylvia. Back to Peterson. Like he thought about checking that. Faked it. Matty is outside. Here they go. Toward the
excellent in the try. So the question I have, sorry, I'm turning this volume down. Here is, does a policy change as far as the attack and what the calls were based off of a snuffed line out? So no quality ball at the line out. Does that kind of alter what the teams are going to do? Do they just clean it up, take it on one, take one phase up and then kind of reset? Or do they keep it consistent? The second part is want you to take us through each phase or the phase play in here and what they're trying to do as far as attack. That's cool.
Yeah, again, so, there was a stuff up at the line out, and I'm still amazed that they still scored this try. But they still played it out. So they carried there. They obviously go the same way. And, and sometimes whether that was pre-planned or not, the inside ball there, sometimes they're the most hardest to defend, those inside balls. They hit their pod there, they do another one, they carry. So they're running, looks like a 3-3 shape again, get over the advantage line. And then now you can see they've got numbers already. With people to spare outside, and it's just, again, it's probably a try that probably shouldn't have been scored.
Yeah, I got a talent in picking up clips like that for somebody.
But yeah, again, they just they played out. They obviously knew what they wanted to do and did it. So
sweet.
Take from Daly, Goff, quick hands. Right now, to Ruffle. He's taken just outside the 22. Denies him. He'll play quickly. Pets up. Steps off the right foot back. Counter ruck comes in. To no avail though. Slade. He moves the ball into the 22 now. They're set up to the right. Quinlan calls the ball, receives it. London inside. Ryberg. Here goes Ryberg. You will not stop the quadricep with eyeballs from there. That's number 1 for the year.
All right. So question there. Everyone's always talking about it. With this play right here, and don't mind the forwards backing out the line out before or any pedantic free kicks or they were illegal and stuff.
So that is illegal? That is illegal?
You can't leave the line out.
Yeah, I was going to say that when I was looking at this. So
don't.
It's
a lot of referees on here. I'm pretty sure someone's going to mention that. But taking that part aside, that's I don't know about that play. So the phases off of a line out through some talent. Through some heavy research. Not really. Just looking at the stats of how tries are scored in a modern era. When I used to play back in the day, I would think that most tries are scored off of a turnover and then maybe like set scrums. But lineouts have been 40% of the tries scored, at least in this competition. And I think it's from scrums is something like 20 or 30% or something like that. So from your lens, would lineouts? Hold on, Mom was calling me. Hold on. I'm on wrap it up, and she said she wants you to stand up. Got that baby shower. Now my wife calling me and everything. Sorry about that, everybody. So from the tries being scored off of a line out, do you place more emphasis on this set piece or for scrums? I don't even know if that makes sense. My mom just kind of killed my train of thought.
Okay, for me, so this is so there's with your attacks, right? You've got types of attack. You have, to me, this is an example of I don't know if there was a buzz thing in a while ago, which was what they called sequence plays. So this is a perfect example of where teams would have trained this. They call it a sequence, and when I talk a sequence, like everyone knows where they're going. So right from the line out, those three guys knew they were going to drop out. Whether they dropped out a fraction early or not, probably a bit early. They probably should have dropped out at that point when the ball was in the air. So they've obviously carried there. So everyone knows their roles. Everyone's so they've gone through it all. They've got to carry. So, and then they go again, and then and so this is all rehearsed. So when I talk about sequence, it's like, everyone knows where they're going, everyone knows their position, they know exactly what they're going to do, and teams would train this. So, and and obviously the reward is as they score the try. So that was probably before maps sort of came into play, or similar sort of thing, but sequences where like it's a sort of a series of plays or phases that result in exactly that, getting a try. So
excellent.
So it was, for me, that was a good execution of a sequence play that they've obviously practiced and rehearsed.
Sweet. And we're just gonna have one last clip, which is a pretty easy one to digest. Attacking 5 meter.
Close up to receiving their man back from the sin bin, and that's to space back down. So all he needs to do is pass. And is it a try? It is.
Sweet. So at this point in the game, from my standpoint, teams either going to try to push this one straight over the line. But what's the likely play call from the 10 in this case? Would this be best case scenario as far as like stretching the field out wide, or would there be anything else?
So this is so I think if the ball didn't fumble out the back there, the number 8 probably would have picked it up, or they might have kept it in the scrum and kept going. But obviously it came. So most times I would see number 8. He obviously didn't see it was coming out, and questionable that wasn't a scrum reset. That just came out the same side. So like that's really, I don't know, was that hooked? It's hard to tell, but yeah. So obviously they want to turnover, just get it out wide quickly to the space, because obviously the defense team's setting up ready to exit. So as you can see, they're not even on the try line now. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, as referees, what would you guys have called there in terms of, the ball coming out like that?
Sweet. Let's open up that debate. Anyone hop on?
That near side AR should have called that in if they saw it come straight out the tunnel.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like it came straight out the tunnel, right?
Nick, whose call would that be?
The AR, the referee's on the opposite side. So there's if it looked to me like something sketchy happened, like a flanker put his hand in there or something. So that's what the AR's got to be worried about, right? Yeah, something sketchy happening.
Yeah, and you can see his hand on the button ready to push it.
Yeah, but we also out very, very strangely. So
the other team was clearly trying to tell him what happened.
Of course.
Yeah, it was a bit dodgy, but yeah, I mean, obviously they did the right thing. They got it, they played it out, and they got away with it. And sometimes, you just gotta, being in coach multiple teams where the AR's comms weren't working to the referee, or the referees ignored the AR, and then that's when you as a coach you get irate and go, I heard the AR telling you and you ignored it, and the referee goes, oh, well, I thought it was okay.
Yeah. Don't want to go on record saying anything about the AR referee relationship, but it's a tough one, and one built of trust and being competent. So I mean, that's part of the reason why we're doing this. So the MLR season is definitely coming up, so we want to be as well versed as we are and knowing what the teams are trying to do, and some things that we can help ourselves with, as well as communicate those things effectively with the referee. But I'm gonna open it up for any questions anyone have for Ramsey. Anything from the chat, Jacob?
Most recent question was about that last play, but we opened that up for discussion.
Excellent.
But if anybody has any questions they'd like to ask right now, go ahead, unmute yourself, and ask a question.
You're still muted, Ken. You're still muted.
Yeah, there we go. Sure, I've done this before. Ramsey, what sort of questions or discussions are you having with the referee on the week coming up to the match on Saturday?
So does it. Well, it's interesting. We don't really get to see the referee until before the game, and actually, sorry, in international matches we do get to meet with the referee. Yeah, it's hard to know unless you've seen them, you know. Yeah, because a lot of coaches, they do analysis on referees as well. Like I don't so much. But if there's a certain trend that I see in a referee, I might ask them some questions about certain things. Certainly in Auckland Club Rugby, I had a good rapport with the referees, so you know, I'd get in the referee's ear a little bit and query some of the things that I might want them to police or that I picked up from the opposition. And I had a clear case of one where it was a semi-final, and I think we ended up winning it. I can't remember what it was, but and the opposition coach had said, you know, he saw that I was actually talking to the referee, and and so he felt that you know, the referee sort of favoured with what I was giving him. So yeah, I mean, most referees don't listen to us anyway. Coaches, they just go and do their own thing. But I always maintain that as a coach, you got to have a good rapport with all the referees and get along well with them. And so, and to the point where that you can actually speak constructively with them post game. And I particularly in a lot of teams that I coach, I like to get a rapport with referees so that if I've got a query around some stuff, I can ask them what they were seeing or thinking, so that when I do my team review, I can, you know, because sometimes it's a bit of a lottery as to what they see or what can happen, and sometimes it's good to understand what they see. So, but most times, where, you know, when you're watching, so I often don't normally comment to referee until I've actually watched the video, because I've learned in my coaching career that, you know, sometimes it's better to go watch the video first, and then in one game where I was actually livid with the referee, and then I went and watched the video, and I was like, no, actually he was spot on. He pinged us off the park because we were terrible. But it was hard to see when you're on the sideline, but when you got the benefit of video, it makes a big difference. So, but the video should be used as a education tool and learning tool for everybody, as opposed to being you know, for coaches to get better, for referees to get better. And I'd like to think that referees are open to, you know, feedback around video content as well. So, yeah, does that answer your question, kind of?
It did, actually. Thank you very much. And I've gotten some similar feedback from other coaches saying, well, I want to talk about what the other team is doing, and please do this, or the other conversation, hey, we're going to try this one move off a line out, please be aware.
Yep, and that's it. We do that as well. And like, I don't, you know, you got to be subtle with referees. Like, you just drop a, you know, like I might have said, oh, hey, look, you know, can you just keep an eye on this? I picked this up from there last week. And then, but sometimes you get into the ref subconscious, and so they look for it when they probably shouldn't. So, yeah, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So, yeah. But, you know, you can become good friends with referees to the point where you go, hey, come on, man, you know, I look after you, you got to look after me. So, but you know, I just think it's really good for coaches and for referees to actually build really good rapport with each other, so that there are that you can have open comms, and it's a really important part of the game to actually build rapport with referees.
Excellent. Any other questions? No. All right. I think that puts us right on an hour as far as the content is concerned. But Ramsey, more importantly, thank you for taking your time out this bright and early morning, getting your day started with some good analysis. Really appreciate the chance of speaking with you, and thank you to each individual for hopping on. We definitely going to make this recorded next week. We have 2 more weeks left, and then we're going to be on a bit of a hiatus because everyone needs to start with the rugby. Rugby's will be coming up in March. So thank you, Jacob, Ramsey, once again. Really appreciate you coming on, filling in for Rennie, and definitely get you more. Right?
I was plan B.
No. Look. I didn't think I can get you to be plan A. So if I knew you were going to say yes, man, I would have had you in on week 1. But yeah, definitely appreciate it, and we definitely going to work with you in the future with the rest of the things we're working on. So thank you, and
no, that's cool.
West Coast group, appreciate it.
Thanks for the opportunity, Marquis, to come and speak, and I hope it was useful for people out there. I had done a couple of things, some rugby trivia stuff that I was going to ask. So I will ask it. What position are the smartest coaches? Props. Okay.
Just ask them.
So I was actually going to go through all the World Cup winning coaches. So turns out that loose forwards are the World Cup winning coaches. 5 loose forwards have won, 3 backs, and 1 hooker. So it just goes to show that tight forwards are not good at coaching. So the hooker was actually Jake White, and then obviously you've got loose forwards, which is 5 of them, and then 3 backs were. So I was just going to use that as a bit of trivia heading into this, because one of the things that I find personally as a coach is that everyone's running the same stuff, and I hate it. I actually hate it, and I like innovation. And so everyone's running 1-3-3-1, and it looks like what they're running in the MLR. They're mostly, and it's easy to defend. It's predictable, So I personally, as a coach, I like to be innovative and try and do things differently, and hopefully we see some more innovation come out, so that everyone's not robotic and doing the same, because that's what we're doing now. We're producing robotic players into styles of play.
Yeah, question on that. If you have to go, you could definitely log off. But I'm gonna pick Ramsey brain a bit on this end. I find the coaches and the referees, and I spoke to you before this, it's about a year or 2 behind as far as like innovating and developing their own styles and patterns of play. I did speak to one coach, and he said most coaches in the U.S. kind of wait till the international season is over, then they kind of analyze what happens in the Six Nations or Super Rugby, and they try to implement those practices onto their team. So I definitely hear you on that end, but how can coaches in the U.S. or our players or referees kind of innovate and think outside the box as far as rugby? Because New Zealand is always moving forward. Even my years of being there, it was never a conversation of like, hey, what is England doing, and let's kind of replicate it. It was more like, this is our brand of rugby. This is how we're going to play. And everyone in the country, and as far as I was concerned, was pretty innovative in their thought. So.
Yeah, so for me, for example, like I've had a look at a lot of the systems and that. I've tried a couple, but I've just gone back to real old school. Actually, I run a 2-4s, just a 4-4 shape. But in those 4-4 shape, we've got 3 always working, and one's a link support player. And so, it just like as coaches, there's people might have heard. You design a game plan to your cattle or to what type of plays you've got. Where I don't prescribe to that. I've got a clear, as being a winger, I used to like to get the ball, and so I liked running game, and for me, we all love watching attacking running. So I try and build all my stuff around attack space, and running rugby. So I have a clear way of how I want to play, and so. I think too many coaches put their teams into boxes about this is all we can do. Like we might just be a good set piece team. We might not be anything else. So they become heavily reliant on that. Whereas I like to think we can play all types of game. We can play a tight game. We can play a running game. We can play an offload game. And so you just you just use training and to perfect all that kind of stuff and just get better and better at it. So but yeah, so I just, sometimes just as coaches, like, you can make up games and you can simulate, or, you learn off other coaches or what other teams are doing and try and do things. So, but yeah, that's it for me. I like to try and be innovative. I like to try and be a little bit different. I don't remember, Marquise, if you recall, we were doing the Auckland Storm team. I know you had left. When I coached the women's team, went into that space, I had a look at how the women were playing. They're only playing in the 15 to 15 across the width of the field. And it was really simple. Like, if we can just play the full width of the field, other teams aren't going to keep up. And that's what we did. And we didn't have the strongest Storm team, but we ended up scoring the most tries and the highest points that Storm's ever scored. So because, when they had told me that the forwards scored all the tries the year before, and I'm going, that's not right. Wingers are supposed to score tries. So so I flipped that around, and I think, we ended up having the top try scorer was one of the wingers. We'd scored more tries than any team in the whole of the Farah Palmer Cup history, or the women's history. So yeah, it's like having a look at what your team's doing and saying, this is how we need to play, and get them to do that. And once they did that, they enjoyed it and loved it, and in the end got a championship out of it. So yeah, it's just those kinds of things.
Yeah, got you. And then the follow-up question, as far as referees is concerned, every country have their way of refereeing. Northern Hemisphere, Southern Hemisphere. Is that a reflection, you think, of the game being played there, or the referee societies and how they look to, like, adjudicate and like, where does that come from? Because in the U.S., there's a lot of people and a lot of different ways of refereeing from my lens, but I feel like we don't have our own distinct way of doing anything. It's always kind of listening to this guy or that guy, and he's right, and so, like, do you think referees kind of create their own, or is it just like a reflection of what's in front of them?
Yeah, well, all referees should referee the same internationally, right? They will say the same set of rules. So there should be consistency. So, a referee from New Zealand should be able to get America and referee exactly the same way, unless there's some changes in the laws. And likewise, someone from America coming to New Zealand should referee according to the laws. So unless they're trialing out any different law variations. So in terms of for me as a coach, you'd expect that there'd be consistency across the board. So, when you get to Rugby World Cup, you get a whole, or any, like, get down to 20s Junior World Trophy, you get a whole raft of coaches from different backgrounds, different countries, and you'd expect the same consistency across the board. So, I don't know. I mean, obviously, it could just come down to an education thing, like in terms of, being upskilled more. But yeah, I would expect, if that answers the question, Mikey, that the referees should be consistent, because the laws, unless they drastically change, should be the same across all the games.
There's definitely areas in which they're not consistent. I mean, you even pointed out, right? Like, referees in New Zealand play a lot of advantage. Certain things like that. It's just a bit of a difference. Maybe in America we play with shorter advantage, and over here, there's really no right or wrong way of going about it. So, I mean, from my lens, or I guess the last question, I won't take everyone's time, but from your dealings with referees from local to internationally, like, what qualities do you think make the best referees?
Look, I like referees that like to that have a good feel for the game, and they don't necessarily have to have been a player, but or just good communication. So it's interesting. Some coaches hate it. Some players hate it. I like it when a referee will call whether like it's gone from ruck to maul, or or tackle to maul, or whatever, or or get out, and just dialogue on the field that you see. Probably Nigel Owens is a good one at it. Of the international referees, where they'll be saying get out of it or whatever, and just having that. It's just just that relationship on the field with the team, and being, you know, you don't have to be friendly, but just I don't know how to explain it, but you know, just good comms on the field, very clear, and just, you know, just level-headed, and all you can ask is that the referees are fair, and most times they are. Like, I don't think I've come across a crooked referee yet, not yet. But oh yeah, in certain places. But no, but you just yeah, just what we want to see from referees is just clear comms, and yeah. So like I said, I personally do like it when a referee, you know, is vocal on the field in terms of, you know, ruck, maul, hands off, leave it, you know, and it gets, and if obviously if a player doesn't listen to that, then yeah, fair enough, penalise them. But most times players will, you know, if they're switched on and they'll listen to the referee. And you know, we always have a saying is, you know, go out there and win the referee's favour, in terms of, you know, don't be a dick on the field as a player, you know, don't give him any back chat, and you know, and if you do that, you'll probably get along all right with the referee.
Appreciate it. Well, we're gonna end there. If we don't have any other questions, Ramsey, thanks a lot. Appreciate it. I'll give you afterwards in a formal letter of thank you, you know, with our time or a little stamp of on there. But appreciate it. Thanks. Till next weekend, 11 o'clock, unless we have a last minute change. So thank you guys for coming on early. Appreciate it. And that's it. If you're a part of the admin group, go ahead, stay on.
Cool. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Ramsey.
Thanks, Ramsey.